In the quiet village of Maji Moyo, life was gentle and slow, moving with the rhythms of nature. The sun rose every morning, lighting the red earth and the tall baobab trees, and every evening it sank behind the distant hills, bringing a peaceful darkness. The people of Maji Moyo lived simply. They grew millet and sweet potatoes, raised goats and chickens, and told stories that connected them to the spirits of the land and their ancestors. The village was small, close-knit, and safe, but it held an ancient rule, one that had been followed for as long as anyone could remember. This rule was clear and serious: no loud laughter after sunset. Everyone knew it, from the youngest child to the oldest elder. It was not just a rule but a warning. The elders said that laughter, especially loud, wild laughter, had the power to awaken things that were better left sleeping deep beneath the earth. They spoke in low voices about the spirits who watched the village and the price paid long. Ego when someone dared to break the rule. Asha was a girl of 16 summers, bright-eyed and full of energy, who lived with her mother and grandmother near the edge of the village. Her laughter was different from others. It was loud, free, and wild, like thunder breaking through a calm sky. When she laughed, it was impossible not to smile or feel joy. Her laughter echoed over the hills, carried by the wind, and often filled the small homes with happiness. Children followed her, trying to make her laugh, knowing that her laughter was contagious. Even the grumpiest men and women found themselves smiling when they heard her. But not everyone welcomed Asha's laughter. The elders grew worried, whispering among themselves that her wild laugh might bring trouble. They reminded her gently, then firmly, that the rule was important and that she must keep her laughter quiet after dark. But Asha's spirit was too strong. Her laughter came from her heart, and she could not keep it hidden. One warm evening, as the sun was setting and painting the sky with pink and orange, Asha sat with her friends near the great baobab tree. The air was cool and soft, filled with the sounds of night insects and the distant flow of the river. They told stories and jokes, and suddenly Asha's laugh burst out, loud, bright, and full of life. The village held its breath. The ground beneath their feet trembled softly, as if something deep below was waking. The shadows near the trees began to twist and move, forming shapes that no one could clearly see. A strange whisper floated through the air, soft and low, in a language no one understood. A cold chill ran through the village, and fear spread like wildfire. The elders met quickly, their faces pale and serious. Baba Juma, the oldest of them all, said, "The spirits have been disturbed. Asha's laughter has broken the sacred rule." From that moment, strange things started to happen in Maji Moyo. The crops, once green and strong, began to wilt under the fierce sun. The river, which gave life to the village, slowed to a weak trickle. At night, the villagers saw shadows moving between their homes and heard whispers that chilled their bones. Fear took hold of the people. They said that breaking the laughter rule had brought a heavy curse upon them. Many blamed Asha, though she felt sadness and confusion. She knew her laughter was part of her, but she also understood the fear it had caused. Yet deep inside, Asha felt a spark of hope. Her laughter had woken something ancient, yes, but maybe it could also be the key to saving her village. Determined to help, Asha sought answers. She went to her grandmother, Mama Nima, who was wise and kind. Mama Nima told her stories of old, of spirits that guarded the village, of secrets kept for generations, and of the power in joy and courage. "Your laughter is a gift," she said, "but also a challenge. You have awakened the old spirits, and now you must face them." Asha felt both fear and strength in her heart. She knew that to protect her village, she must find the source of the curse and speak to the spirits. With the help of her closest friends and the guidance of her grandmother, Asha prepared to journey beyond the village, into the deep forest where the spirits were said to dwell. Her laughter, once a source of joy, had become her greatest test. As the full moon rose high, casting silver light over the earth, Asha stepped into the dark forest. The trees stood tall and silent, watching her as she walked deeper into the unknown. The air was thick with magic and mystery, and strange sounds echoed all around. Shadows flickered, and the whispers grew louder, calling her name. Asha's heart beat fast, but she did not turn back. She laughed softly, a quiet but clear sound, and the forest seemed to listen. She knew the spirits were near. She had broken the village rule, yes. But now, with courage and love, she would face what her laughter had awakened. The fate of Maji Moyo rested on her bold spirit. The forest was dense and alive with sounds that Asha had never heard before. Each step she took felt heavy, as if the earth itself was watching her, testing her courage. The moonlight filtered through the thick branches, creating patterns on the ground that danced like spirits themselves. The whispers she had heard near the village now seemed to come from all around, soft voices speaking in a language older than time. Sometimes, she thought she saw shadows moving just beyond her sight, shapes that shifted and disappeared when she looked directly. Asha clutched her grandmother's necklace tightly in her hand, a small charm passed down through generations, said to protect those who wore it from harm. Her breath came fast, but she reminded herself that this journey was necessary. She had to find the spirits, understand the curse her laughter had brought, and find a way to save her village. As she walked deeper, the air grew cooler and the forest darker. The trees grew taller and closer together, their trunks like thick pillars guarding the secrets of the earth. Strange noises echoed, a sudden rustle here, a soft sigh there, and Asha's heart jumped each time. But amidst the fear, there was also a strange feeling of belonging, as if the forest was alive not just with spirits, but with stories waiting to be told. She remembered her grandmother's words. "The forest holds the truth you seek, but you must listen with your heart, not just your ears." So she paused often, closing her eyes to feel the wind, the vibrations in the earth, and the energy that hummed softly beneath her feet. After what felt like hours, Asha reached a small clearing, bathed in silver moonlight. In the center stood an ancient tree, wider and taller than any she had ever seen. Its bark was rough and scarred, its branches reaching out like arms welcoming her. This tree was said to be the home of the spirit who guarded the village. A spirit, both kind and fierce, protector and judge. As Asha stepped closer, the whispers grew louder, clearer. She could almost understand the words. Who breaks the silence? Who dares to laugh when the night falls? Her heart pounded. She knew she must answer honestly, for the spirits valued truth above all. Gathering all her courage, Asha spoke into the quiet night. "It is I, Asha, the girl whose laughter broke the rule. I come to ask forgiveness and to understand. I want to save my village." The forest fell silent. Then, slowly, the air shimmered, and a figure appeared near the great tree. It was a woman, tall and shining with a soft light, her eyes deep and wise. She wore a cloak woven from leaves and stars, and her voice was like the wind through the trees. "Asha," she said, "your laughter has awakened the old spirits, and with it, the balance between joy and respect has been disturbed. But your courage to seek the truth is the first step to healing." The spirit told Asha that the village's silence after sunset was not meant to take away joy, but to protect the sacred balance between the living and the unseen world. The wild laughter disturbed this balance, risking the anger of spirits who guarded the earth and the people. "To restore peace," the spirit said, "you must undertake a challenge. You must face your fears and prove that your laughter can be a force of healing, not harm." Asha listened carefully as the spirit explained that she would have to journey to 3 sacred places: the River of Whispers, the Cave of Echoes, and the Hill of Shadows. Each place held a trial, testing her heart, mind, and spirit. The first trial was at the River of Whispers, a place where the water sang with the voices of the ancestors. Asha's task was to listen deeply and find the message hidden in the river's song. With the spirit's blessing, she set out, guided by the silver light of the moon and the soft glow from her grandmother's necklace. The path was narrow and slippery, and strange sounds surrounded her, soft laughter, crying, and voices of those long gone. At the riverbank, she knelt and placed her hands in the cold water, closing her eyes to listen. The whispers became clearer. They spoke of forgiveness, understanding, and the power of joy balanced with respect. Asha realized her laughter had the power to heal wounds and bring the community together, if only it was used wisely. The next challenge awaited in the Cave of Echoes, hidden deep in the forest. The cave was dark and cold, filled with the sounds of dripping water and distant echoes. Asha entered with a small torch, her footsteps echoing on the rocky floor. Inside, she heard her own voice returning to her, but not just her words. The cave echoed her deepest fears and doubts, the fear of being blamed, the doubt in her own strength, and the loneliness that sometimes filled her heart. Tears streamed down her face as she faced these voices. But she remembered her grandmother's necklace and the spirit's words about courage. Taking a deep breath, Asha laughed softly, a quiet, gentle laugh that filled the cave and softened the harsh echoes. The cave seemed to smile back, the darkness lightening. She understood that laughter could face even the darkest fears and turn them into strength. The final trial was the Hill of Shadows, a place where the sun and moon met, and day blended with night. Here, Asha had to face the shadows of the past, the memories and stories of those who had lived before her. The hill was steep, and the path was lined with ancient stones carved with symbols. As she climbed, shadows danced and twisted around her, forming faces and scenes from history, times of joy and pain, laughter and silence. Asha walked carefully, listening and learning from these shadows. She saw how her ancestors had protected the village, how they had made promises to the spirits, and how laughter had always been part of their lives, but with respect and care. At the top of the hill, she found a quiet place to rest. There, under the watchful eyes of the stars, she understood the true meaning of the rule. It was not to silence joy, but to honor the delicate balance between happiness and respect for the world around them. With the dawn breaking, Asha returned to the village. Her laughter was still loud and full of life, but now it carried the wisdom of the trials she had faced. The shadows in the village seemed lighter, the crops greener, and the river flowing steady once again. The elders smiled, seeing the change in her and in the village. Baba Juma said, "You have shown us that laughter, when balanced with respect, can heal and protect. The rule is not just a law, but a lesson." Asha's heart swelled with pride and peace. She had broken the rule, yes, but she had also helped the village find a new way to live with joy and respect together. Her laughter was loud, wild, and free. And now it was a song that brought hope to all of Maji Moyo. After her journey through the trials, Asha returned to Maji Moyo with a new light in her eyes and a heart full of determination. The villagers gathered around her as the sun began to set, eager to hear what she had learned. But the peace she had hoped to bring was not yet complete. That very night, strange things began to happen once more. Asha's laughter, though now filled with wisdom, seemed to stir the shadows differently, deeper, darker, more restless. The earth trembled beneath the village, and the river, which had started flowing steadily again, suddenly slowed to a whisper. The air grew cold and heavy, and a strange silence fell over Maji Moyo, as if the village was holding its breath. The elders, including Baba Juma, looked to Asha with concern. They whispered that the spirits were testing them still. "You have passed the trials, Baba Juma said quietly. But the spirit of the forest is old and wise. It does not give peace easily. There is a secret yet uncovered, a hidden truth in the laughter and the land that must be faced. Asha listened carefully. She realized that her journey was far from over. The spirit she had spoken to had given her tasks, yes, but it had also left a deeper mystery unsolved. She understood that the laughter was not just a sound, but a bridge, connecting. The living to the spirits, the present to the past, joy to fear. And the balance she sought was fragile. The following days were filled with uneasy silence broken by strange signs. The goats stopped grazing in the fields. The birds flew away, leaving the skies emptier than before. At night, the villagers saw flickering lights in the forest and heard voices carried by the wind. Some whispered that the village was cursed once again, and fear gripped their hearts. Asha felt the weight of responsibility pressing heavier upon her. She knew the elders expected her to find a way to calm the spirits fully, to bring true peace, to Maji Moyo. But she also felt a strange pull within herself, a whisper that her laughter was part of something bigger, something not yet revealed. One evening, as the full moon rose high, Asha sat by the river alone, listening to the water's gentle song. The moonlight shimmered on the surface, and the shadows from the trees stretched like fingers reaching toward her. Suddenly the water stirred and parted, and from its depths rose a figure, a woman glowing with silver light, her hair flowing like water, and her eyes deep as the river itself. Asha gasped, recognizing her as the spirit guardian of the river. The spirit's voice was soft, but carried great power. "Asha," she said, "you have shown courage and respect, but the village's fate depends on a choice, a sacrifice that only you can make." The spirit reached out her hand, and in it lay a small, glowing seed. "Plant this seed in the heart of the village, and laughter will return with new life. But beware, the seed carries a price. It will bind you to the land, forever part of its spirit and its story." Asha's mind raced. The seed was a gift, but also a bond, a symbol of her connection to Maji Moyo and the spirits. She thought of her family, her friends, and the village that had watched her grow and feared her laughter. To plant the seed was to give herself fully, to become part of the land she loved so deeply. It was a choice between freedom and belonging, between the wild joy she had always known and a quiet strength that would last beyond her years. Tears welled in her eyes, but she knew her answer. She nodded to the spirit, accepting the gift and the price. The next morning, the village gathered around the great baobab tree, the heart of Maji Moyo. Asha held the glowing seed tightly and spoke to the people about her journey, the trials, and the choice she was about to make. She told them that laughter was a gift that could heal and protect, but only when balanced with respect and love. As she planted the seed into the earth beneath the baobab tree, a soft light spread from her hands into the ground, growing stronger and warmer. The villagers watched in awe as new shoots began to sprout, vibrant and green, shining with life. The air filled with the sound of laughter, gentle, joyful, and free, echoing through the village once more. But with the laughter came a new feeling, a deep, peaceful connection to the land and the spirits. Asha felt her heart swell with love and belonging, knowing that she had become part of something eternal. The villagers cheered, and Baba Juma smiled with tears in his eyes. "You have saved us, Asha," he said, "not just with your laughter, but with your courage and your heart." The village of Maji Moyo was alive again, healed by the laughter that had once broken the rule, but now carried the wisdom of balance and respect. And Asha, the girl with the loud laugh, had become their guardian, a living story of hope, love, and the power of embracing one's true self. After planting the glowing seed beneath the great baobab tree, Asha felt a new strength in her soul, a connection that pulsed like the heartbeat of the earth itself. The village of Maji Moyo seemed to breathe with life again. The crops grew, greener. The river flowed clear and strong, and the air was filled with the soft sounds of laughter that no longer frightened anyone. The elders spoke of peace returning, and the people smiled freely beneath the warm sun. But Asha knew the truth was more complicated. Her laughter had changed, yes, but so had something else beneath the surface. The spirits were watching still, waiting, and a shadow moved quietly in the edges of the village. One evening, weeks after the seed had grown into a magnificent tree that glowed softly in the moonlight, Asha heard laughter again. It was not her own this time, but a strange, haunting sound that seemed to echo from the deep forest. Curious and cautious, she followed the sound, moving quietly through the village and into the shadows of the trees. The laughter grew louder, wild and free, but darker somehow, as if it carried a secret too heavy to bear. Asha's heart raced. She knew that laughter had power to heal and power to harm. Deep in the forest, she found a small clearing bathed in silver light. There, sitting around a fire, were figures cloaked in shadow, their faces hidden, but their eyes glowing. With strange light, they laughed and whispered in a language she could not understand. As she stepped closer, one of them turned, revealing a face both familiar and terrifying. It was her own, yet not her. This shadow self smiled with a wild grin and said, "You broke the rule, Asha. You laughed too loud and woke what sleeps beneath. But laughter is only the beginning." The shadow explained that the laughter had indeed awakened the spirits, but not all were pleased. Some were angry, some were playful, and some were dangerous, spirits that fed on fear and chaos. The seed Asha had planted was part of an ancient pact, meant to protect the village, yes, but it also tied her soul to the forest forever. The spirits needed a guardian, but they also needed a balance, a laughter that could heal but not destroy. The shadow warned, "Your laughter brought change, but it also brought risk. The village's fate rests on your choice, to embrace the wild spirit fully, or to quiet the laughter and hold the peace." Asha felt torn between two worlds, the joyful girl whose laughter had brought light, and the guardian bound to the spirits. Ancient laws. The shadow self told her that the true power lay not in silence nor in loudness, but in knowing when to laugh and when to listen. The villagers, the spirits, and Asha herself were now linked in a fragile dance of trust and respect. Returning to Maji Moyo, Asha carried this heavy secret in her heart. She knew that the village's future depended on her choices, on whether she could find the balance between joy and silence, freedom and duty. Her laughter would never be the same, and neither would the village. But perhaps, she thought, that was the true meaning of the ancient rule, not to stop laughter, but to teach the courage to live with its power. As dawn broke over the village, Asha stood beneath the glowing baobab tree, listening to the soft, wise whispers of the forest. Her laughter rose, gentle and clear, carrying the promise of a new day, one where the old rules met new beginnings, and where the heart's true song was finally free.